So, working with a Māori provider in Hokitika, there was a program that you did with a group of young mothers and young children, which sounded like it had some good ideas that would work for people from all sorts of different backgrounds and with all sorts of different needs, including AOD maybe. So,
well, yes, it provided an opportunity to create contacts with young people, and the actual content of what we did really didn't matter. What the fact that we did go and do stuff that the young people were unaware they could do, created a situation where there was some bonding and some teaching went both ways, more or less. Myself and Joe did a small program where we introduced young mothers with little kids to things like fishing, setting nets, and then pulling them and pulling the nets and treating the fish so that they were edible and that everyone got a feed out of it. We went and gathered mussels, and it involved not only transporting people to and from, which requires a certain amount of safety and organisation, but also water awareness, how to pick the right ones, how to pick the right mussels, how to prepare them.
How did you cook them?
Well, while we were there, we cooked them just on lit a fire and cooked them on a big sheet of iron and just popped them open and ate them right then and there like that.
Straight on the beach?
Yeah.
Cool.
We took some back to the rata and showed them how to open them and bottle them and preserve them, and you could have anything from nice feed to fish bait, basically. Yeah.
But the fish, did you cook the fish on the beach, or did you?
No, we didn't. Actually, we started to run out of beach. The tide was coming in quite quickly, and we had to pull the net and get the fish out of it, and we cleaned them, most of them down there, and then we took them back to the kitchen at Rata and showed people how to bone them, and we cooked and ate stuff there. Yeah. The other thing that we got involved in was doing wakaama, and it was...
Before you do wakaama, what about the watercress? I liked the watercress story.
Well, yeah, we went to pick watercress, and watercress was something that both Joe and I had never really thought about, because it has always been just readily available, and it never occurred to us that none of these kids knew either what it looked like or where to get it, or what to do with it when they did get it, which bits to pick. It had never occurred to us that they wouldn't know that, and when we got there they said, "Oh, we know this stuff. Oh, it's growing." Yes, that's exactly what it
grows everywhere in the drains.
It grows everywhere in the drains, but you want to pick it out of clean water and all the rest of it. So that was again just the idea of an outing, where there was interaction between us older blokes and these young ladies with their children, created a situation where even some 8 years later, I still those kids still say g'day to me, and they are busy teaching their own friends and stuff how to do that sort of stuff.
You're not old blokes, you guys are grandpas.
Yeah.
You were the grandpas. So that was the watercress. What about what Joe was doing in the forest with our more mischievous, troublemaking younglings?
That was actually worked very well too.
Yeah.
Joe was taking people out to get firewood for people, for the old people or for whoever needed it, and in that process, of course, there was mostly young guys, but there were young girls involved as well. He showed them. They did interior decorating, they did painting, they did learned how to use chainsaws, they learned how to use axes, they learned how to load and unload trailers with a little bit of supervision and quite safely. Things that they'd never been exposed to before. And their one particular girl who Joe had, I remember, she's turned out to be a regular little gem after being in trouble with the law and being in trouble with all sorts of mostly complications due to dealing with the bureaucracy, like social welfare and places and organisations like that, failing to put in forms and not keeping appointments and that sort of thing. And now that young lady actually helps people do that. Two of the young guys just completely changed. Their bad behaviour stopped almost straight away, and simply because they had an adult mentor who was interested in them and wanted to show them something and wouldn't let them get away with bullshit, and that was all it required. It should have been accepted. This was a pilot course we were doing, but it should have been accepted as a long-term process and would be a lot more successful if it was carried on over just more than one little pilot scheme. It had the potential to set the organisation up with the people with enough intimate knowledge of their clients so that problems could be averted before they even arose, or you could see a problem arising and deal with it as the situation came up. Of course, the other side of the coin was that the kids had no money. They were either single parents or they were in relationships with other people who weren't working either. And of course, things like transport and just basic stuff like nappies and food, that was always a problem, getting a group of young kids in the same place at the same time to go and do something. Once they'd done the first little day out business, they were keen after that. They were as keen as toast, and they wanted to go and do these things. It gave them the opportunity to interact with the organisation, plus it gave them the little bit of confidence, and that we weren't all abusing them because they were young single mothers or parasites on our society, basically.
Or young men who were in trouble and a waste of time.
Well, they were considered a waste of time.
And awful, because a lot of them were teenagers, and that was, I guess, the thing that was.
Well, and there wasn't just one problem. They weren't. They came to our attention because the police would refer them. The police would say, young so-and-so's, he's up for whatever. And they would then be, when they came to us, they'd be expecting the same kind of treatment that they were getting from the more faceless bureaucratic side of things. The old days where the policeman could kick him up the arse was probably a heck of a lot more effective because the policeman lived in the community and had long-term follow-through with them. A few of these kids have gone on to become career criminals, if you like.
Yes, I come across them occasionally still.
And that's a shame. And it's a situation that could have been avoided if there was a more coordinated effort between the program, the organisation and the families. If we could have got more time to organise those or to establish those relationships, then we would have had, I think, more effect.
One of the, you were talking before about up in I forgot the name of it, the place where they had the two tribal groups and you had to have the two guys.
It was all the Wudja or Hopevale.
That was it, yeah, I think it was the Wudja one. And I was thinking about that because subsequent to the work that you were doing here in the Māori health provider here, they have recently actually just taken on 2 whānau water coordinators and they've made sure that they've got one from each of the tribes here.
Yeah.
Interesting, eh?
Yeah. Try and do it any other way is just bashing your head against the wall. It doesn't matter how well liked Tribe A representative is by Tribe B, they're still from Tribe A, so we're not going to listen to them.
Yeah.
Or we're going to ignore them, or we're going to go against what they say, or we're just not going to have anything to do with them. And they withdraw from the services.
There's also the problem that we were facing where if you were offered somebody who was from your own tribe, often you didn't want to work with them because then mummy and auntie and nana and everybody would find out.
That's always going to be a small town problem, and mummy, auntie and nana should already know what's going on. The fact that we like to ignore problems because we don't want to deal with them is no excuse for not dealing with them, basically.
No.
We tend to say, oh, that's, that kid's mother should be involved, or that kid's father should do something about it. Oh, he's hopeless, he never does. But no one's ever gone along and said, well, Auntie, you come and sit down with us, and we'll sit down with this young man or young fellow or young father, and we'll see if we can organise something that might turn out to be a little bit better for everyone involved. That's the bit that's lacking.
Yeah.
And until the actual families feel confident in the service providers, then it's sort of a forlorn hope, I think.
Yeah, a catch-22.